Welcome to the Stir It Up podcast, where our purpose is to encourage, challenge, lift up, and stir up the body of Christ to love and good works. Hello, and welcome to the Stir It Up podcast. I'm Michelle Dowdy.
And I'm Starla Harbin. And today we have a friend of the podcast with us. She's been a guest before a couple of times through an interview and also at Christmas.
Yes.
She was a part of being on our podcast as she was a guest at our church. So welcome back, Nichole Boggs. It's great to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be here.
And for those that don't know, Nichole is the mother of 12 children. She's also a grandmother, a wife, and they run a retreat property. So we'll let her explain all those things. And we're just excited to hear an update.
Yes, you've had some exciting things happen in the last year, to say the least. So I think the first time you were with us, did you know that you were expecting number 12?
I did.
Okay.
And I remember I didn't feel very well that day, but I couldn't say anything because we had not told our children yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that was number 12.
It was.
You had a little girl.
Yes. A precious little girl, Mary Elizabeth.
So, and people will be surprised if they're just learning about you for the first time at your age, because you look so youthful. But you just turned 49, if you don't mind us telling people that. And so I think most of us would be like, oh, 49, like if we had
I think she was like that.
I was like that.
Yeah, so I think people would be interested in, what was that experience like versus, a pregnancy at 49, 48, 49 versus 29 versus 39, with all your other
Tell us
children.
the one closest in age to Mary Elizabeth. How old was he when you found out you were pregnant?
He was just 4 years old. So John Bear is 5 today. And Mary Elizabeth is 5 months. So they are 4.5 months apart. He was 4 when I found out, and we thought he was the caboose. So there was definitely some differences from being pregnant when I was 29, 39 versus like having a baby at 49. In all of the different ways, like physically, spiritually, and emotionally. But emotionally, it was the very first time, y'all, that I was like, what are you doing, Lord? Like, what? And there were just so many follow-up questions that I had for him. And, the world will be like, girl, you know what causes that? Or don't act like you're shocked. Or, if you're not going to get the tubes tied or whatever, it's going to happen. But I was 48. I really thought I was entering into, I was definitely pre-menopause. Menopause has got to be around the corner. Things were changing. We were making plans for, a future that looked different than, having a baby on the hip. And so I was just getting kind of my health back. And then I found out I'm pregnant, and I started thinking about, I can't do sleepless nights anymore. I don't know that I can do this, Lord, not just physically, but the commitment to care for a child for as long as I finish living here on earth through their childhood, hopefully, is a huge commitment. And I didn't know if I had it in me. And, I haven't even started schooling her yet. Like, I got 5 more years before she starts school. And so many questions. It took me 9 days to tell my husband. I've never done that before, ever.
Oh, wow.
I had so much to wrestle through myself.
And what was his response?
I felt like it was going to be sort of a blow to Keith because we may talk about this a little bit more, people that go back and listen to our other podcasts. We've been out here in East Tennessee now for 5 years. We've built a retreat property. There's like 5 structures on the property that we've built from ground up. I've had children get married. I've had babies. I've had grandchildren. It's just like we can't catch our breath. All good things, and then some hard things too. Financially, it's a big load to carry a ministry like this. It's bigger than anything we've ever done. So all that to say, I was very worried about my husband. I was like, and he's 4 years older than me. So Keith is 53 now. He was 52 at the time. I was like, he's just going to be devastated. And can I just tell y'all, it felt like a book or a movie. I was so nervous to tell him. We were coming home from an event where we had spoke to some couples on encouraging their marriages. And he said something like the bedrooms at the house, something about them. And I was like, well, in a few months, we're probably going to have to rearrange some things. He was like, what? And then he went, what?
Wow.
He said, you're expecting? I was like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And y'all, I wish I could have recorded it because it was one of the sweetest, most humble, submitted responses as just a believer. Like, this is an area that we have chosen to trust and hand to the Lord. And I will never forget that he said, what makes us stop trusting him now?
Mm.
We can't stop trusting him now.
Right.
And I was like, you're right. He just said all the things that I needed to hear. And it was so gentle and it was so kind. And it was an immediate embrace. And so where I wrestled, it was just an immediate embrace. Now, not to say that he didn't have to work through things after the fact. Like, then he had to go, whoa, I'm going to be like this age when she's this, those things start hitting you.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. I couldn't have asked for a better response.
That's so neat.
Well, and I know leading up to, throughout the pregnancy and then the birth, I know you kind of went back about having a home birth and a hospital birth. And there were all those questions and check marks that had to be addressed. And then you ultimately ended up having, I think, a hospital birth. And there was some moments there that, might have been a little bit scary. So just kind of share how all of that played out.
Well, I'm glad you're asking this question because it reminds me, because I want to encourage listeners, because I think some people are super afraid of having babies older in life. And normally they're thinking like late 30s, early 40s. A lot of people think, late 40s it's a phenomenon, and it is sort of. I had a wonderful pregnancy. Everything checked out perfectly. Every time I had an extra checkup, everything was wonderful. And I actually kind of prayed, could I have a home birth, Lord? Like, could we just go so fast that I have her at home? And I'm so grateful that I didn't. And it was actually my husband that morning that was like, Nichole, we need to go. Like, stop doing the things and let's go. And had he not done that, had I not listened, he would have probably delivered her on the road. I had her 15 minutes after getting to the hospital. He almost missed getting into the hospital room from parking the truck. So she came very, very quickly. A beautiful, quick, I would not say painless birth, but almost. Okay.
Wow.
That's a big statement.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
I don't know what caused my blood loss. We go back and obviously I've had a lot of babies. There's that factor. The uterus has been through it several times. The placenta hung out a little extra long. They thought for a little while they may have to go manually remove it, but thank God there's a story behind that. And so maybe that backed everything up, and I ended up losing quite a bit of blood. And they recommended a blood transfusion. We took a day or so to pray through that, chose not to do that, which meant my recovery would take longer. And they let me stay in the hospital a couple of extra days to keep an eye on me, which made me feel good, made my husband feel even better. And then we left the hospital knowing that I was going to have to What might take a few days of feeling better may take a month to 2 months to 3 months to get that energy back. So can that happen anytime? Absolutely. Was it because of my age? Maybe. I have hemorrhaged before and then not again. So there are just factors in pregnancy that you just,
right.
who
Each one's
knows?
different. It's
Yeah,
always different.
who knows? But the recovery took longer. But let me tell you this, it was the sweetest recovery I've ever had. I loved on that baby girl, nursed her. We stayed in the bed. We bonded. We rested together. It was so peaceful and so sweet that I wish I would have done that every single time.
Yeah. And Nichole, you've kind of been on a health journey, haven't you? I mean, you're very health conscious and you posted things, pictures of or videos of yourself, doing weights and just really, sort of preparing your body. So do
Yes.
you think that played a big part in the ease of the
Huge,
delivery itself?
huge, huge. I have such a big heart for women who want to, they're going to have babies. And there's some women that want to have multiple babies. And there's so much that we can do that God has allowed us to steward that can make every single bit of the process easier, less difficult, and run into less complications. I believe it with all of my heart. And so the nutrition, the exercise, the stretches that I was doing to like prep for all of that, hands down, I believe that it helped me have a beautiful pregnancy and labor. And here's what my doctor told me, okay? Because I did, and I have a tendency to struggle with low hemoglobin. Many women do in pregnancy. And I was like, I'm gonna get this up. I'm gonna get my hemoglobin up. And I went after it and I went after it hard. And she told me on the last day before I was leaving the hospital, she said, Nichole, had you not worked so hard to get your hemoglobin back up to a healthy level, there would have been no choice for you to get a blood transfusion or not. We would have had to have given you one.
And that's where that calf liver comes in, right?
Yes, the beef liver. You know what? You brought it up. So
I'm
I
like,
am
she
just,
posts this beef liver all the time on her plate. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't do that.
Well, did
do
you,
it.
as far as your health and the things you did for this pregnancy, had you started that during the last one, like the 5 years ago with
Yes,
your
to
last
some
one?
degree. I think it just has gotten better and better. The more that
Yeah.
I've learned, the more that I've been able to implement even over the years. The first four, I apologize to them regularly. It was Krispy Kreme donuts, Little
Yeah.
Debbie's, snack cakes. But after baby number four, and they were sick all the time, that's when I started making some health changes for them and for me. And then as I'm like, okay, God's continuing to give me babies. And this is what, when I found out I was pregnant with Mary Elizabeth, this is what I felt like he impressed on my heart. Don't pray for a healthy pregnancy if you aren't willing to implement what I've already shown you.
Yeah.
And it just kind of grabbed a hold of my heart and it held me accountable.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like God does that, doesn't he, with other areas of our life? Like, why are you praying for this when I've shown you?
Yeah.
Obey me. Walk in my truth, and I'll take care of the rest. So it was a matter of obedience for me, for sure.
Yeah. And the whole large family, I mean, just trusting God with that, like from many, many years ago when y'all were first married, right? You maybe go into that just for a refresher. I know you told us on that first episode, but just how the Lord led y'all to just be open with the size of your family.
Yeah. It came about very early on in our marriage. We were going to have two. That's part of our testimony. Our pastor asked us, we said we want two. And somebody gave me a book on the Christian home that was written in the 30s. And I'm not saying that I line up with the theology in that book. I don't even remember the theology in that book. I just remember going, wait a minute. There's a point of view that people had for hundreds and thousands of years, and now all of a sudden we've shifted. Where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of, that's where God just began to like challenge Keith and I and our perspective. Do we have a worldly perspective as far as children goes, family, and everything, every other area?
Mm-hmm.
And we really felt so strongly, not fully understanding what it was going to look like, that we were to surrender that area.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, by his grace, he led me down a path of pursuing good health. It's like he just gave me the tools. This is what I've called you to now. Here are some tools that I'm going to give you to help you.
Yeah.
It has not always been easy. There's been different times during that path that we're crazy. My health has been in question. We've been told not to have any more children by a doctor. The family is telling us that God gives you wisdom too, um, and, even when our own children found out we were expecting number 12, they had a mixed reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we've had videos of them cheering and turning flips and giving high fives, it was like, oh. And then some were happy and some were sad and some were scared and some were. So we had mixed reactions that we had to work through,
Sure.
even with our own children.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the other fascinating things about this is that when Mary Elizabeth was born, she was born obviously a daughter and a sister with all these other siblings, but she also is an aunt, right? So explain all that.
Yeah. Well, she was born an aunt and then became an aunt again 5 weeks later. So my oldest daughter, Madison, has a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. And then my daughter, Morgan, has a 1-year-old. And then Megan, what was really sweet too, is me and my 4th daughter, Megan, were able to go through our pregnancy journeys together. And little Sayla is a girl, and she was due 8 weeks behind me, but I went a week over and Megan delivered 2 weeks early. So Mary Elizabeth and Sayla are 5 weeks apart. So it's like two little twins.
And
Twins.
this was so crazy. Fun fact, my youngest granddaughter and Mary Elizabeth were born on the same day, just a few hours apart.
I remember that now.
So I think she was like 2 hours after Mary Elizabeth. So they share the same birthday. But Mary Elizabeth, she's got a lot more roles than my little granddaughter.
Yes.
Because she is filled out and she's
and
so
I love it.
I know. And she's so healthy.
Nichole, how many do you have under your roof right now? How many of your children are still there?
I am very proud to say that we still have 9 under our roof because I believe in the next year to 2 years that will be less.
Okay.
I had a son get engaged on Sunday, and they hope to get married in April. And I have another son that we're just trying to put the brakes on every day.
Yeah. That's the way it happens though. It's like, my 4 siblings are older and then there's one that's close to me in age, but it was like when it started, it all came at one time, and then the babies after the marriages, all the babies started to come. So
yeah.
Well,
we're in a very sweet season. There's no doubt. Very sweet.
Absolutely.
Well, is there a time that you have just for yourself at all during the day, or do you try to make time for that, or do you always have someone around? Like, I think people would just be curious about your day, if you get any moments to yourself.
Not really. Not really.
What people would think.
Right.
Here's the thing with that. I am struggling to find free moments right now, but it's temporary.
Yeah.
She is still very young and she's still nursing every couple of hours. She's at the age where sometimes she just wants mama. And then I have all these other little people, all the way up to my adult children who still call me and want to talk to mama. And then I want to spend time with my grandchildren. And there's very little time for me, But I do know that as Mary Elizabeth gets a little older, that will come back. And I'm not worried about it. It doesn't bother me. I just embrace it. I've done it enough that now I know it's okay. Like, God's grace is sufficient. And if I can keep my mindset healthy, I can try to get proper rest. I can try to take care of myself nutritionally. It'll be okay. Those moments will come back.
Yeah, it's part of a season.
It is. It's part of the season. It's part of this life that I've been called to.
Yeah.
And you've probably heard this before, Starla. If God calls you to it, He will see you through it. He provides what you need for what He's called you to.
Well, I hadn't thought about this before, but you had posted something about, you're in the stage of life where your teenagers may want to talk till midnight, but you got a baby that's going to wake up at 6.
Yeah, right.
And it's like,
through the night.
I would think that would feel overwhelming at times for sure.
It does. And I will not do that every night. I mean, I can't.
Right, you can't.
Physically do that every night, but I don't want to shut off those occasional opportunities. There has been one time where my teenage daughters are in there and they're talking, and I'm falling asleep.
Barely, not hanging on.
We're done. I'm done.
Well, I know that we've talked about Sanctuary Hills, the retreat property, and the beautiful place where it is there in Blaine, Tennessee. And of course, Russ and I have been there to stay and visit with y'all, have food around the table with you. You cooked a great meal, but tell us some things that you offer there, and even maybe some God moments that have happened since you've been, running the sanctuary for people.
Yeah. Well, we came out here with the hope to build a retreat property at some point where we could pour back into people. To whom much is given, much is required. We believe that we are incredibly rich in all the good gifts that God has given us. And He's helped us so much along the years in ministry. People have come along the way to encourage us. And it's just a little dream He put in our heart a long, long time ago. And to see it come to fruition this fast is a little quicker than we thought and a little more than we thought, but we're grateful for where we are. He's stretching us and growing us. But this retreat property is for pastors and pastors' wives. It's for ministry leaders. It's for business leaders. It's for marriages. We do marriage retreats. I do wellness retreats on occasion. My husband does young men events out here. And our hope and our prayer is to one day offer a very small, intimate family camp. We can only host probably 4 to 6 families where we pour into them about 4 to 5 days a week, have fun activities. That's on the horizon for maybe a year or so down the road. But right now we are hosting our own retreats, and then we open it up for other churches and organizations to host their retreats as well. And trying to make it more sustainable, we are also opening it up for an occasional wedding venue. So y'all pray for that. We got our very first wedding just last week. So it's for next May.
That will be beautiful.
Yes. And you're working on the barn, or maybe it was the garage, or
it's the barn. And so the barn will be able to hold about 100 to 120 people. We hope that when people come here to do their retreats, they can start having their sessions in the barn. It's going to be beautiful, comfortable, temperature controlled. They can do their sessions out there and maybe occasionally eat out there. And then we'll do our fancier meal inside the lodge like we typically do. That would just make it a little bit easier on our family who currently still lives in the lodge.
Right.
And then for our cooking team, because sometimes the turnaround time to get lunch out for the retreat, we don't have that long. So it's just going to make it more convenient for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a lot. I mean, y'all have so much going on, and we're going to link all of this, so that if people are interested, they can see what all you have got.
Yeah, that would be great.
There. And
one last thing to go along with that is these places, when they aren't being used for retreats, they're open for families to come and rent and just do a little vacation. Yeah.
I always tell folks if they're going to Dollywood or anyway that way, I'm like, y'all need to stay at Sanctuary Hills.
So it's close enough to Gatlinburg
you
to
can
stay.
get there.
Yeah.
Wow.
25 minutes from downtown Knoxville and about an hour from Pigeon Forge.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and Sevierville, they're not far from there. So I mean, but as far as just being able to stay in just a really nice, peaceful place too, it gets you out all that traffic,
Yeah.
and all the crazy that
Yeah.
happens down through
Exactly.
Gatlinburg and
Yeah.
Pigeon Forge, and so, and you help a ministry along the way, and I think that's really the blessing that you would receive, not just getting a nice place to stay, but you're helping, push the darkness even more by staying there.
What,
Yeah.
just one more question, kind of switching gears, but do you and Keith have date nights?
Or do you just sit on the back porch and just take a deep breath?
Just wonder.
This is like, okay, you help do marriage conferences, like weekly date night. It's so overrated.
Yeah.
No,
Maybe
but
every once in a while.
okay, maybe not lately, but you know what? It goes back to kind of my answer before. This is a temporary season, and we've been here before. And you know what? Not only because of children or babies or responsibilities, but I want to be careful when I say this, but sometimes being in the ministry, there's not a lot of things that there's not a lot of extras that you could even afford. So we've had to get creative over the years anyway. So it's just perfect. But I think Keith and I are really good at finding the stolen moments through our day to stay connected. And whether that's a touch, whether that's a kiss on the forehead while I'm cooking dinner, or a pat on the backside, which sometimes I wish he wouldn't, or, just those little cute, flirty things. Or, can you come? He works here when he's not traveling. So he'll call me up to the office. We'll have a conversation about a child or a ministry question. He's very good at including me in any of the decision making. We try to communicate regularly on the daily. Do I think dates are important? I absolutely do. And I do think that we'll get back to those, but currently we're not taking many of them.
Right. Yeah,
and that was the other hard thing when I found I was pregnant, because it was like, oh, John Bear's 4, he'll be 5 next year, and we'll be able to maybe take a little trip, or, just starting to think of how things might look a little different.
Right. Yeah. And then it was a whole reset. And, do this again.
So we just gotta age very slowly and very well, so we can. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
To live is, one of my verse mottos that the Lord laid on my heart about halfway through having children was out of Luke. And that was when Mary said, "Behold, the handmaid of the Lord, be it unto me according to your will." And I'm reminded of that. And that's where I come back all the time with anything that I have to trust him for. Another child, something that he gives or something that he takes away, a difficulty. I'm just the handmaid of the Lord, and my life is a living sacrifice. And it may not look like everybody else's life right now, and I may not be able to do all the trips and go on all the dates, but it can still be incredibly full and rich and lovely and healthy. And I think Keith and I have a very healthy relationship.
That's great.
Yeah, that is such a good word. That's a good thing to end on right there.
That's right.
Well, this portion. Now we're gonna switch into our recipe time, and I think you have to have some great recipes on there.
Always cooking. If it's not her family, she's cooking for retreats plus her family. And she's taught some of her girls how to cook too. Even with the baby coming, they've pitched in, the older ones, and they've taken shifts, and she's making breakfast. And so, everybody kind of grew through all of that. So share with us the recipe that you wanted to bring today.
Okay, so this one is fresh off the stove almost. We've been making it a few times this summer, and my husband would say, "Hey, Nichole, you remember when we were first married and you'd make me brownies and ice cream. And then a week later, he'd be like, hey, Nichole, remember when? I'm like, I got it. So this recipe goes way, way, way back. A good friend gave it to me. And it's a fudgy brownie, and it's delicious with homemade vanilla ice cream. If you want to make it homemade, we like Mayfield. And it's a one pot recipe. So you heat down the chocolate and the sugar and the butter and the coconut oil. And then you add the eggs and the vanilla extract and then a little bit of flour. And then you just whip that all up, and you put extra chocolate chips in it when you go to bake it. Make sure you don't overbake it. Better to have an undercooked brownie than an overcooked brownie, in our opinion. And then you take it out and you cut it and you serve it with ice cream. It's delicious. Everybody loves it.
So do you do a large quantity of that, or is that like you're just one pan?
I'll double the recipe for our family. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially if it's for like a birthday when everybody's coming over, which we celebrated last night. Everybody gets to pick their own, like what they want. And John actually did choose a chocolate cake. So we didn't do brownies, but if it had been brownies, I would have done 2 pans for everybody. But here's the thing too. We try not to eat like a huge portion.
Yeah.
I try to teach them moderation, and we can enjoy the things that are maybe not so healthy for us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Nichole, thank you so much. We know you are so busy, and we really appreciate you taking this time out of your day and just sharing with us what the Lord is doing in this season.
Our listeners will really enjoy the time you spent with us today.
Right. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I do pray that somehow, some way, the Lord uses this imperfect life to encourage other people, other women who are seeking to follow his will in whatever way.
Well, you stirred us up today, so we appreciate it. So we'll see you next week on the Stir Up Podcast.
Thank you for joining us today. May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all.